Monday. This is a short video introducing short staff and short spear for Shin Arashi martial arts. This is applicable to both beginners and advanced. I had a specific person show interest in this, but it's useful for all of us. Later on, I'll probably do a more formal video showing curriculum requirements at a certain belt level, but for now, this is just a beginner. Okay, so the majority of our styles, short staff, short spear work, comes from Aikido. Jo staff taught by Aikido-based systems. That entails a lot of counter grappling for people trying to grab your staff, and a few throws using the staff. Well, I don't have a partner here, you probably don't have a partner there, and you probably don't have mats and everything to deal with that. So for now, we will just be working on basic strikes and blocks. Traditional Jo staff is about 4 feet long. It can be shorter or longer depending on the height of the user. Some people say nipple high, some people say armpit high. So this one's a little short for me if you go my armpit high. But it's fine, 4 foot's easy to get a hold of. This is a simple dowel rod from Lowe's, Home Depot, Amazon, whatever. This can be a broom handle that the head's off, a mop handle that screws in. I got this thicker for my hand width. You may need smaller, somewhere between 3/4 inch to 1.5 inches, maybe even 2 inch, depending on your hand size. I wouldn't go any smaller than 3/4 inch. These little caps here are foot caps for chairs or tables. I have them on here for 2 reasons. One, if I use this as a walking stick, which is part of what we're going to be going over, it doesn't tear up the stick, okay? 2, for students when I'm training with other people, or even with my dummy here, it does not leave that hard edge, sharp edge at the end of the dowel rod. You could sand that off, but this little bit actually helps, I think. If you want to carry this as an everyday thing, okay, I would take some athletic tape, hockey tape, baseball bat tape here, okay? At your, see this height I'm carrying it at, where my arm is straight out? This is a very useful tool for a lot of things, hiking, walking in the park, that kind of stuff. So the spear equivalent would be something like this. Okay, this is a cheap little deal I picked up. SOG makes this part, and it's intended to screw on to a broom handle, and it's got a little keeper pin. The first one of these I got with the broom handle having a piece of metal here for the screws. And the first time I threw this, because it's designed to be a throwing spear, not the first time, but the first day I had a lot of people throwing it, that part broke. So just the standard wooden seems to be a lot better for that. And then I put this tape here, a couple layers at the top and less at the bottom, to help support this. I would even, I think I did it on, well, I don't want to do that, it's pinned in. When I first got it, before I screwed this in, I drilled a hole in and then drilled a flat, and countersunk a screw into this to support that. So the screw is actually down to here. You are most likely going to be using this, but I wanted to show this. So the Jo staff uses a lot of sweeping, slashing motions, which can be done with the spear. The spear is not designed for it. You could cut with the spear, okay? It would not be as powerful, as deep a cut as a machete, a short sword, a halberd, an axe, something like that, but it still exists, okay? With the spear, it's more about thrusting, okay? So when we go to the short staff version that you'll be more likely to use, it's more about stop hits, keeping someone from getting closer and hitting them, most likely in the solar plexus, groin, or occasionally the face. The face is harder to get because the head moves, okay? For the face, head, a slashing motion is more effective. Okay, so the Joe staff has a lot of applications because this length staff has been designed 10,000 times in 10,000 cultures. The Aiki Joe staff comes from a system of Japanese short staff fighting, which takes techniques from sword fighting, spear fighting, and staff fighting. Today we are going to be taking from the walking stick position to the spear position. Okay. At a later date, I will do more of the sword techniques, but I have a low roof here, so I'm kind of limited on that. Which also will represent the fact that the sword techniques are limited for that same reason. The staff techniques here are best very close range, okay? We don't want to be there, because if I'm using this against him, he probably has a blade or a short stick. So I want to be here. Those staff movements exist and we will go over them, but for now let's worry about the spear. I'm going to do everything backwards today for the benefit of the camera. Normally I would say that your walking stick position, unless you have a bad knee or bad hip and you're actually using this for the balance of a walking stick, should be in your non-dominant hand, okay? Right is my barely dominant hand, so I'm going to be doing everything backwards. So we're walking along, and this is our position. We're using this to help us walk, okay? I'm using this to benefit this leg primarily. You could, okay, but it's primarily to benefit this leg, okay? Now, this is not our fighting position. We've got to get to our fighting position. So the aggressor comes up, we've tried to de-escalate, that's not going to work. We got to get to our spear position, okay? So the first thing we want to do from our neutral stance, facing them face on, hey, a de-escalating hand position, I want to step forward slightly, turning this way, and rotate the staff around. Okay, so watch again. I'm going to sweep, almost a figure eight sweep, almost like I'm turning an elbow strike, okay? I'm going to step forward, hey, stop, okay? Come across, retreat, and now I'm here. Okay, let me show you that with the target, okay? I probably want this just to ward them off. And again, when I put this, go from neutral to forward, is to keep them at bay, to look like you're not the aggressor. Turn yourself away from them. to generate power to bring this up, step this foot back, step this foot forward, rotate there. That is the most complicated thing you're going to see from me all day today. All right, now we have established this. The thing we don't want to do is let them grab a hold of it. There are advanced techniques to deal with that, but we want to do that for right now. So get used to making circles in either directions and making plus signs, okay? Our lead hand, okay, is our power and our rear hand is directing. All right, so first strike is just a standard thrust. We're going to shove with our rear hand and guide with our lead. Okay? If all I'm trying to do is stop forward energy, that's pretty good. If I'm trying to be fast, we can do a pull cue strike, where we, okay, I'm sliding, keeping this lead hand where it's at. And the last is a step strike. Okay, we've established we don't want to fight this guy, but he's making it an issue. Okay, so I will step forward my lead leg and shift my weight in. Okay. Okay. If you're trying to stop forward momentum, the chest is probably the best target. If you have a spear, the chest is a pretty good target. If you're worried about doing damage, this will smart, this will stop a fight. This is the solar plexus, the sternum, and there's a dip here. Feel where the dip starts, okay? That's where we want to go. If it is a very lethal situation, they have a knife, they have a machete, they have an axe. There's multiple of them. You're feared for your life. The notch of the throat here is a good target, okay? So again, standard thrust, sliding thrust, stepping thrust. Okay. So let's start over. I know you probably don't have a bob at home. Make an imaginary bob. Okay. Put a chair in front of you and visualize the person coming at you. Okay. So step back. Hey, stop. Sweep in. See how my feet are stacked now? Get to the proper grip. Standard thrust, sliding thrust, stepping thrust. Now, I'm not saying use all three attacks. I'm saying figure out which one is correct distance for you. Okay? If they're further away, you need that if they are relatively close, the standard thrust is fine. If they're a little further away, maybe the sliding thrust. If they're almost off screen, step thrust. Okay, so we've talked about standard, the three basic thrusts. Let's talk about slashing. We will work on primarily an angle one slash is what we call this, okay? My stick is up somewhat, and I step in, hit, downwards diagonal. Okay. This is powerful. It goes to the neck or collarbone. Okay. You could step back. Has less power that way. But if they have overtaken your thrust range, you can step back. Okay. So you could come straight down. Okay. That goes a little more into sword technique than spear, but it still exists. What if they get too close? Well, we have 3 hilt strikes, okay? Can be straight up, diagonal here, or horizontal, depending on where your stick is and where their hands are to block. So again, rising, diagonal, horizontal. Okay? Every time it's hit, okay, now you're building space. Get away. Hit. All right. Now, it is very unlikely they have a spear too, or a short staff. If they have a weapon, it is more likely going to be something shorter, a single hand weapon, okay? A knife, a stick, a pipe, a hammer, okay? Maybe a baseball bat, okay? Or just empty-handed. So for that reason, these spear blocks are a little less useful, but let's go over them just in case. The spear blocks that I will be teaching come from Wing Chun hand techniques. Pak, Bong, Guan, and Tan. Pak, Bong, Guan, and Tan. Okay? Pak is just a little parry. Okay? Something's coming on the, we're going to call this the outer gate of my staff, this is the inner gate of my staff. Okay? Something's coming on the outer gate of my staff, pop, just slap it out of the way. Something's coming on the inner gate of my staff, tan, okay? Notice how I'm bringing my arm back, okay? Something's coming low, one, okay? That's probably the one you're gonna see the least, okay? If somebody else is going for a low shot with a stick and you've got the longer stick, either they A, don't know what the hell they're doing, or they know a lot of what they're doing, okay? So be prepared to guan and come back up. Guan and come back up. Okay? Guan and come back up. Pak and tan will be your most likely. The next, bong. 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 Okay? Bong. Here. Okay? That is probably even less likely than guan. It's if someone's coming here overhead, you can cover. So, Pak, Tan, Guan, Bong. Pak means slapping hand, Tan is dispersing hand, Guan is cultivating, it's low block, and Bong is wing arm. I know that doesn't make a lot of sense. If you do some Wing Chun techniques for a while, it'll make a lot of sense. Or when I get a chance to have another partner here with me. The Wing Chun spear is actually anywhere from 7 to 14 feet long. Sometimes this is called a pole because it was used on a boat to push the bottom of the flat boat. But here you can see Bong, Pak, Tan, Guan. These same techniques, okay? Same spearing attacks. Don't really have room for the rear hand strike on this. Let's do a couple of close range techniques. So, move Bob back in the view real good here. Okay. We assume this is going to start here, and we're like, hey, no. But just in case it starts here. Okay? We have a couple techniques for that that still start from, I'll put it in this hand so you guys can see better. So, you've got your hand here, and this does two things. Number one, it shows, hey, I'm not trying to fight you. Just calm down, stop. Universal sign for stop. All right. Two, you see how it's hard to see my face from this camera angle? That's the point. I want to be right in the middle, okay, between me and him. Okay. So I'm here. They make an aggressive move. Okay. I'm just lifting this up. This can hit to the face. This can hit to the chin. This can hit to the throat. This could hit to the chest. The chest is probably the least effective. All right. What should we do immediately after that? Okay. We're getting back to our range where this is an effective weapon. Boom. Come back. Okay. If they are pursuing us, use that as a hit, like the first one we did. Boom. Transition hand. See how I have one hand up, one hand down, one hand up? That's your grip. It is not here, because that's really awkward. And it's not here, because that gives you less range of motion. This gives you the most range of motion. All right. So, rising strike, forward strike. Okay, depending on where they're at, their height versus your height. Are they leaning forward? What are they doing? Okay? But, boom, boom. Okay? So, try to do this close without actually stabbing him. Spear. Why not spear the head? I may have already talked about this. I had to retake this video a couple times. The head moves. It's not a very good target for spearing. The torso is a good target. Okay? The thigh is a better target than the head. Okay? The point of this weapon is to keep him over there. So for that reason, we will back up more with the spear than we will any other weapon in our system. So you see this footwork is a little bit different. This stance is different than our standard style stance. Okay? If you are going backwards with the lead foot and you do not do a rotational movement, you're losing power. So make your thrust and then escape. All right? Trying to think if there's anything else that could be useful for a very base beginner. So what this looks like, some of this stuff with the spear, that's still pretty effective right there. Okay, that's better than, but you have to, and you can still hit. Okay. Okay. I guess that's it for now. So what to practice? The 4 blocks: Pak, Tan, Bong, Guan. Pak, Tan, Guan, and Bong. The basic thrust, sliding thrust, stepping thrust. Practice it at different heights. Okay? Something I have done in the past is if you have a space that you can train in and some string and those craft rings people were using for dream catchers mandalas at one point, is to tie a string, paracord, bank line, something to a hook in the ceiling or to a limb, come down to face height, your own face height, and put a ring. Come down a little bit to chest, solar plexus, thigh. okay, and practice stabbing into those. If you don't put a counterweight at the bottom, they will turn. Okay, that's great. That teaches you to watch for the opening. Okay, you can get the rings anywhere from 3 times the diameter of the staff to nearly the size of the face, giving different ones a different challenge. Okay, so Hak, Tan, Guan, Bong, standard thrust, sliding thrust, stepping thrust, the grip preparation strike, the upwards pommel strike, diagonal pommel strike, and round pommel strike. Okay. At more advanced levels, there's even a step over, but I'm not worried about that right now. Just know that there is more you can do. The spear is an exceedingly simple weapon, but an exceedingly complex weapon. There have been a lot of experiments in my class, but also in the traditional European, historical European martial arts organizations that show that with the least training, the spear is a superior weapon to sword and shield. Okay, one-on-one or in large groups. It's a pain in the ass to duel with a spear, but if I have my choice of a line of spearmen or a line of sword and shield or a shield wall, if it's an actual spear, I'll take the spear, especially a longer spear. Short spear is fine. A pole, because the pole, this is a lot less threatening than this. Okay. Then 6 1/2 dozen another. A more experienced swordsman can beat a less experienced spearman. Okay, but even then, the spearman has advantage of range, of reach, of simplicity of attack. Okay, the swordsman has to walk in on the spear range. Even this versus a baseball bat. If I have this, I'll take this over a baseball bat. Okay. The Joe staff, I'll take that over a knife if I have open territory. A fencer's mindset of parry riposte. Okay. So, Hak, slide stab. Okay. That's fine. Tan, step stab. Okay. So, thinking about time in fencing. Okay, for those of you who don't know fencing, the different fencing rules are different, but some of the weapons have a rule called timing, because people stopped fearing the blade because it's a car antenna. If it's not damaged, it won't hurt you. If it's damaged, it can stab you bad. So if you're fearless of the blade, you're not going to act like it's a real thing. Okay. So with timing, the person who made the last tap, the last parry, okay, has priority in the hit. Where that has advantage for a spearman is it teaches you not to block, okay, it's my turn, but to block, bind, and thrust. Okay? Think about that when you're practicing your blocks. So perhaps even when you have your rings set up, play with parry stab, tan stab, guan stab. Okay? Practice blocking and striking on different levels. Okay? So we parry the top quadrant and then spear low. Okay? We guan and we spear medium. We bong and we spear low. Okay? Without going into anything advanced, that kind of covers everything. One last review. Like I said, this is super informal and just kind of thrown together. Standard position. Non-dominant hand here, dominant hand here. If you find yourself in the other spot, that's fine. If you find the other spot's more comfortable for you, that's fine. But this is the standard, okay? My lead foot kind of pointed towards the opponent. My rear foot's probably turned to the side, so it's an L stance, okay? Standard thrust, sliding thrust, stepping thrust, high, medium, and low. High is face throat, more likely throat or upper chest. Medium is solar plexus. Low is thigh or groin. Okay. Rear strikes. Okay. Counter slash. Pak. Pak, Tan, Guan Bong. Okay. And then thank you very much. Hope you get some use out of that.